morning, good afternoon. We're here with the lovely Brooke, and she is amazing. We have so much to learn from her today. I wanted to take the opportunity to have her introduce herself real quickly at what she does and how how she came into this program. Brooke, tell us just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how you were before coming into this program, or what you were struggling with that no one else really saw, right?
Ooh, okay. So we'll break it down. Hi, everyone. I'm Brooke Chanfiki. First, I'll tell you the Brooke Chanfiki today, and then I'll tell you about what I was like a couple years ago. Um, Today, I am fully focused on helping one real estate developer in particular, who is just a fabulous group of individuals who've built a very strong New York City-based real estate developer up over the last 15 years. I am integrated with them. My business Legacy helps identify new investors and bring those potential new investors directly into real estate investing in New York City, large scale real estate investing, not small scale. So not fix and flip stuff, or I'm going to go buy a little rental myself and be a landlord. Nope, not that.
Yeah.
I'm completely different. I offer something very, very different and very unique because it's very challenging unless you have an insider in New York City who can help you get access to really great
Everybody go to Brooke. Go to Brooke.
big development sites, big development sites. And it's been absolutely fabulous the last, call it 9 months or so, working together with these folks. But that is the outcome of a journey that started for me a few years ago. So what did I look like? What was I going through when I first joined the program and started working together with Raquel? I
And I was
was,
your coach, Brooke, right?
yes,
So tell us a little bit
yes,
about how
you were
that
fabulous.
experience was too. So go on, go
You
on.
were fabulous. You made a New York City finance girl cry. I mean, like, you're fantastic. I was a wall, a giant wall. So I had been very, call it accomplishment focused,
Yeah.
very trophy focused, very look at me. I have a title. I have this. I have that. I have these things, but I was deeply things that I can show for, things that show that I have accomplished something. Oh, look, everyone, look at my big trinket wall and all these
Yeah.
accomplishments and trophies and things.
Yeah.
I'm great. But I wasn't feeling fulfilled and I couldn't put my finger on it. But it was just a constant sort of dull ache in me that I was maybe climbing the wrong mountain. Maybe my viewpoint was off. There was something off. And
You were unfulfilled, right? And unfulfilled, even though
yeah,
you had all these degrees, all these accomplishments,
I get
you had a lot.
yeah.
I mean, in all reality, everything was going for you, correct? People
And
could look at you and be like, "This is great."
if you looked at me from the outside, if
Yes,
you looked at me from the outside,
right.
executive vice president at a big bank, not a little bank, a
Mhm.
big bank. I was an executive vice president. I had
Right.
climbed the mountain. I had already at that point in my career been in I started starting up companies on the side and then working in that startup headspace as well. So I was energetic, I was driven, I was career focused, I was building, but there was something internal that just wasn't it just didn't fit. Like
Yes.
the path I was on wasn't really fitting me and I couldn't figure out why. And the other thing that was going on for me at that moment was I was beginning to notice, and Raquel, you probably remember this from our conversations early on, I was beginning to notice patterns in my engaging with others. I was
Mhm.
beginning to see
Mhm.
patterns.
Mhm.
And so it was harder for me, and this was really hard to come to terms with. It was harder for me to be able to say, well, that's because of that thing that that person did, or that thing that that person, or that thing that's going on over there outside of me, because these
Right.
patterns kept popping up. So that was what was going on for me. And I was like, I gotta do something, but I don't know exactly what to do. I
Yeah.
don't know. Am I broken? Is there something broken in me, or right? No, I'm happy. I'm content. I have a great family. I have a great career and a great job. But why am
Yeah.
I feeling bleh? What is that? That's where I was a few years ago.
And so what almost stopped you from investing in this program? Or was there anything that you said was that was kind of holding you back from taking that step?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of conditioning, social conditioning, right? So I would say for me, one of the big things that was holding me back is if I admit I'm broken, I'm weak.
Yeah.
If I admit there's something wrong with me, I'm weak. I'm just supposed to keep going. If I stop on this path, I'm a failure. I'm weak. And so it was that negative social conditioning that we all receive that kind of keeps
Yeah.
us going down the road and then tells us don't look around and don't
Mhm.
jump off the road because if you jump off the road, you messed something. I was a very negative, that very negative sort of reception of or sort of negative self-talk that we all create that keeps us in line, keeps us moving, and keeps us on certain paths. And so that almost, I almost talked myself out of exploring it. And also there's, I will say this, and this is for my ladies and gentlemen who are listening, who are like me, very mathy brained, very financy brained, who maybe work in a more conservative space. Or, and I say conservative, I mean like a traditional sort of space where you there's no emotion and it's very cool and everything's clinical. However that looks for you, there's a tremendous social downplaying of doing internal work
Yeah.
in those spaces. So you're surrounded, your environment tells you this is rah rah, woohoo, too much. You
Yeah.
just put your head down, make your money and go. What's wrong with you? Just make the money and go. And I had significant, call it inner battling to
Mm.
do that was finally outweighed by just this dull ache of I am not fulfilled and I don't know why, but if I keep listening to this social conditioning and this environment that I'm in, that this is too rah rah woo woo, if I keep listening to that, I'm ignoring this ache and
Yeah.
I'm just shutting it down and I'm burying it. And I don't want to do that anymore. It just got too loud to
So
ignore.
you were conditioned and you were in this environment that made you feel unfulfilled, yet the world saw you as fulfilled, right? And as
Yeah.
successful
Oh my
and
God, of course.
everything else, right? So
Yeah.
when did you realize or when did you finally say enough is enough?
I think so. Interestingly, all of this stuff was happening, and I'll give you a moment. And it wasn't the exact moment, but that it was sort of a culmination of a bunch of little moments.
Mhm.
But there was a moment where I was in, I'm a corporate executive. I'm building things. I'm running strategy. I'm building a team. I'm building businesses. I am
Mhm.
constantly engaging with lots of people. And through that engagement, Raquel, I'm just feeling uh, itchy. Like there's got
Hmm.
to be more.
Hmm. I like
This,
that word. Yeah.
like not that anyone did anything wrong. No one was. It was. This wasn't like oh, I hate everybody. No, not that at all. I know people are people, and we do weird things sometimes. And I love my friends and people, and
Yeah, I know.
um, like we all people be people in all the time. And so I was okay in the regard that I didn't blame or think it was other people's issues, but I had this itch like, is this the interaction I'm supposed to be having? And am I in the right
Mm,
place?
mm.
And so there was just a series of like small moments where I'm having a meeting and I felt like out of body, if that makes sense. I felt like I was watching in and
Oh,
saying, is this me? Is this what I'm living?
I think we've all felt that, Brooke.
Right? Like, and
Yeah.
it's just weird to say it out loud because you're like,
Yeah.
wow,
It's
people are
interesting
thinking
you
I'm
say it
crazy,
that
but
way.
no,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it's a feeling, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm watching me be me in this environment and
Mm-hmm.
going, is this what I grew up to be? Do I
So
like
that's
that?
so real and raw. I love it.
Do I even like her? I don't know if I even like her. And it just felt misaligned. I mean,
It's a
maybe
realization, right? It's
yeah,
like realization of who you are now versus who maybe you thought you would be, or
yes,
maybe who you should be, or maybe who you
yes,
are aligned with.
yes, and just and always sort of shutting that out and saying, nope, that's not the path. I committed to this path over here. That don't look over there. Don't look behind the curtain at what you really like and how you really engage with people and how you
Yeah.
show up if you're just being really you.
Yeah.
And then so the other thing that happened, the other like catalyst was I started seeing some of the stuff that Christy Rutherford puts out there. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, this is interesting. It resonates. I'm not sure why it resonates, but it resonates a little bit. And then something clicked and I said, and you remember this, I'm sure early on, I said, I've always found comedy amazing and I want
Yeah.
to take a
Oh
comedy
my
class.
gosh.
And I'm an executive at a bank, right? Like I'm going to go take a comedy class. And when I said it out loud, I realized that the environment would just be like, "Ooh, like what?
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that. It doesn't fit the thing, the mask, the facade you've created for yourself. This is like you just being wacky, and that doesn't fit." But it felt really good, and it felt like, no, I want to explore this, like so sue me, people, that I want to actually embrace these other things that I like about myself. And it started me that sort of those little moments of itchiness, like I'm in the wrong spot, I don't really
Mhm.
know why. And then saying, I can give myself permission to go down that path over there.
Yeah.
Those were the moments. There was a whole bunch of them that finally helped me get over the hesitation.
I know that through their coaching program, and I myself have been you, Brooke. I myself have been in that position, right?
Yeah.
So we all understand what you're going through, and one of my favorite things about coaching other women is seeing them blossom, right,
Mm.
it's like the
Yeah.
light comes back into their just their aura is changed. um
Yeah.
they're happier, they're just, it's like, there's an emotional and spiritual alignment. That's the way I see it. Like,
Yes.
just you can see their shoulders relax, right?
Yeah.
The weight is just coming off their shoulders, like it's like they were carrying a bag of bricks, and
Yes.
then they set them down, and it's like, oh, I can finally breathe, right? So
Yeah.
what did you realize in the first 30 days
So
of the program? Yeah.
I really appreciated the structure of the program with the asynchronous, work and really looking in on myself. So there were two things that came up for me in the first 30 days, two main things. One was, wow, I like never look in at myself and at how I'm thinking, how I'm processing things, how I'm meeting things. I'm not doing that work. This is forcing me to do that work. And then the second thing was there was a great group interactions with other folks, and I actually got to see how other coachees were were showing up very similarly to me, and
Mm-hmm.
I could say, "Oh, so that's what it looks like when I'm narrating something to justify something. That's what it looks like."
Yeah.
Oh, and now I'm sitting outside and I'm watching as a third party somebody else do it, and I'm going, that person just created that whole story for themselves. Oh, I do that too. I create all these stories for myself. I'm like the best narrator in my mind of
You
like,
recognized a piece of you.
I saw it and I was like, that's what it looks like. And I see it. But not in a judgmental way, not in
No.
in a
Yeah.
like camaraderie, like, oh, we do this, a lot of this stuff to ourselves. We don't look in, and then
Yep.
we're not looking in, so we're not seeing that we're creating this whole fiction and this whole way of showing up because we
Mhm.
keep talking about I am a conservative person. I'm just using it as an example. I'm not today. Obviously, I fell off that bandwagon a while ago. I'm a conservative person. Well, then I'm stuck in that box. And then I keep telling stories that keep me in the box.
Yes.
And
And
so I
you're
was,
tolerating behaviors and other things that are not
yeah,
making you happy, right?
because the cognitive dissonance or whatever that term is just so
Yeah,
great because you created this whole box for yourself and you're like,
right.
well, I can't like that thing over there. I can't like comedy. I'm not supposed to do this. Why am I not supposed to do this? It really makes me joyful and I'm doing it at
Yeah.
night anyway, so who cares, right? the
Mhm.
that was, so the first 30 days were really sort of I'm not really looking at myself enough and I need to do that work. And ooh, sometimes it's sticky and really painful.
Mhm.
It doesn't feel great, but knowing that you're showing up in certain ways doesn't kill you. You just know that you need to work on it. And then also the seeing myself in other people was really helpful.
Yeah. Now, what I know everyone here wants to know, what are the tangible results, right? Okay, you go into
Yeah.
this program, you
Yeah.
unlock all this potential.
Yeah.
What specific results have you achieved since you joined and since finishing the program? That could be in revenue growth, promotions, confidence, boundaries. I mean, I'm basically giving you all the nuts and bolts here, but
Yes.
what did it unlock for you? What was some of the things that started to show up for you?
So the most important thing, and I think everything else came after. So I'll start there. The
Yeah.
most important thing for me that I noticed very quickly was how peaceful and
Mm.
joyful
Oh my
I
God.
was. Everything else came after. It was,
Take
oh,
that deep breath. I even took a deep breath because that peace is what we're all looking for. Clarity of mind is where we sit.
yes,
We need that
yes,
peace to be able to receive, right? Brooke,
yes,
you hit the nail. Go ahead.
yes. And then comfort with where I am,
Mm.
not rejection of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, here's
Yeah.
where I am and I'm cool. I love my, Raquel, I love my life. I am so beyond blessed. And I never spoke like this years ago before I did
Right.
the work.
Right.
I never
Right.
said, I love this person who just yelled at me. I love you because you've helped me, and being able to literally just take that deep breath and be the ocean and allow things to
Right.
roll and not engage and get in that trap, but just
Right.
back up and say, this too shall pass. Non-judgment. It's not my job to judge. That person's gonna have to deal with their own stuff. It's not for me to judge them. Like, that peace was worth it. First of all, that peace and joy was worth it. And I'm happy to talk more about how I got there. It was bleh,
An
sometimes.
identity shift, if you will, correct?
Pardon?
It's an
Oh, just
identity shift,
again.
if you will, correct? I mean,
I had to take the mask off,
yes.
which
That's it.
I think
That's exactly correct.
I was fearful. I was fearful because what did that mean? Did that mean my whole life was a lie? Am I a liar?
Yeah.
Because, a lot of people really struggle with that. They say, well, I've built this whole thing up around myself and other people are going to think I'm a liar. Psst, guess what? No one cares and no one's paying any attention to you. I also had to figure that out too. No one cares. I'm me. And if I was this way yesterday and that way tomorrow, no one cares. If someone actually cares and they're really angry about it, ooh, they're angry about your growth. Ooh, I don't know if that's the right relationship to have regardless, right? Just think these are the
100%.
I
100%.
had to go through that process. But then as a
Yeah.
result of going through that process, what actually shifted for me? So Raquel, I left my role. I left my role on fantastic terms, no negativity, loved the group over there, but I said, you know what? I realized it's time for me to set out and do my own thing. So I left my role.
Yeah.
And then again, that just sent a whole bunch of folks, not, people who looked in who knew me pretty well were like, oh my gosh, why would you do that? That some people were very happy and congratulatory, but there were others who were nervous. And then what helped me, because I was peaceful, I was becoming more peaceful, was like, oh, that's their own stuff kicking off. It's not me. I didn't do that to them. They're just reacting how they're going to react. And
Beautiful.
then I just embraced the not knowingness of real life. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
literally, you're on a path, and the path, you don't know. You don't need to know. It's uncertain.
Yeah.
You're going to take steps. You're going to do positive action, and stuff's going to begin to unfold. And funny enough, when I left, I set an intention for myself that I want to, over the next little while, build a business. I did that. I want to find the right groups to work with. I did that. I want to meet more potential investors. I did that. I want
Woo!
to show up in a manner that aligns with this calm that I really
Yeah.
am. I can be funny and doing all that, but the reality is I like peace.
Yeah.
Wow, I've always liked peace. I didn't realize how much I loved peace. And so, you know, I I had to I had to just like embrace it. And then the path began to unfold, literally unfold. And this is where people who, my old life, right? My old life was very structured, are like, but you didn't know exactly what the next step was that you were going to take, and you didn't have your 10-point plan, right? Because the old me, nope, I threw it all out. I had goals. I would like to be as impactful as I can be in the commercial real estate space as a goal. But hey, universe, you're going to deliver that to me in any which way you're going to deliver it to me. I
Mm-hmm.
can I can't outline it perfectly because I can't imagine how big it could be. I'm not I'm not a omnipotent being who can imagine how big my life could ultimately be. And
Right.
so the outcome has been bigger than I thought. And just in terms of freedom, I have freedom. I have a great group of people that I work with whom I really enjoy working with. They are brilliant. I will say this here and now for everybody watching. They're like 4,000 times smarter than I am. And I love being in that room because I'm
I
learning
love it.
so much. I,
Yes.
I've, I'm saying that right now about my colleagues. You guys are really
Yes.
smart. You're so smart. And I really enjoy, like, there's a lot of stuff I bring to the table, but
Mm.
they move differently than I moved in the past. And so I'm learning a whole new way of being. I had to shift my identity. There was no way for me to be in the space that I'm in now if I didn't shift my identity. There's no way for me to have my own business, to do some of the things that I wanted to do that were more impactful ultimately directly to certain individuals. I couldn't do that if I didn't shift my identity into, let me just see what comes and how big this could be if I let go a little bit and I
Yeah.
trust that I'm walking and I'm doing positive things and it's all going to come together. And it did.
Absolutely. And I mean, I know that you might remember when we were in our coaching, and I would say, why should we receive more when we are not grateful for what things we have today? Do you remember that?
Yes, yes. You don't get more if you don't love now. You're not
Yes.
going to get more. Yeah. Yes, I remember that, Raquel.
Brooke,
Mm.
if someone was on the fence and they're
Mhm.
looking at you and they're looking at all your experiences, what would you tell them? Or, what would have happened, even more importantly, what would have happened had you not joined?
Oh, that's a great question. If I had not joined, I'd still probably be an executive at a bank wondering why I'm itching so much and
Yeah.
why I climbed that ladder. And oh, is it too late? By the way, it's never too late, ever. Um, we're not dead yet. We got a long time ahead of us.
Long time, long,
There
long
is
time.
no plan and perfect timeline for anyone. We are all on our own. We're running our own race. We have our own timeline. Um, I had to learn that too. But I'd probably still, if I hadn't woken up, I think that's the best way to characterize it. I woke up.
Love it.
I woke up. I woke up and I said, I'm not being real. I'm not being real. I'm being
Mhm.
guarded and playing a role. And the role is good and the people are lovely. And I want everyone to be, everyone from my old life to be happy and successful. I mean that with love. Even the people who at times when I was earlier in that life didn't always get along with, I love you. I want you to succeed, right? I didn't always show up perfectly. I was
Yeah.
a pain to deal with sometimes. Of course, we all are, right? It doesn't make it right, but I was. But I look at that person, and if I hadn't done this work, I'd probably still be that person, and I'd be having, those meetings that I would sit through and look in on and say, "Is this really my life?" But I'd be having a lot of them, and I'd be saying, "Yeah, this is my life. I got." I got money over there in the bank. I couldn't have even imagined how much money I could ultimately have, right? Because I was on that path.
Yeah.
I was stuck on that path. And one of the things that I'll say I'm so glad about now, looking back, is again, because I was in an environment, because I wasn't really being fully intuitive with myself and like who I really am, I couldn't see how big the life could be. And so that life was a fine life, but it wasn't matched ultimately to where I'm going because I let go, because I shifted, right? I was like in a mode where I was on a path. Let me give you an example. Today, I am sitting on the other side having conversations with multiple of me's in my old life. If you dialed back 5 or 6 years ago and said, could you imagine being in that seat?
Yeah.
I would have said, no, this is my path 5 or 6 years ago. But
Yes.
now it's actually like the fulfillment of the skill on the other side. So imagine like you were once the service provider and now you're the client, and
Yeah.
you were the service provider in a certain method and now you're the client and you're meeting all of the service providers and you're like, I was one of those. Now I'm the consumer of that. And it feels really weird, but it also feels very light. And like, oh, it's possible. I just had to believe I could flip to the other
Mm.
side. I had to believe it. I wasn't going to believe it if I was stuck squabbling in little, squabbling's not the right word. If I was sort of stuck in my own way and having these same sort of interactions and
Yeah.
like not imagining I could do something other than what I had been doing.
Yeah. So if I'm hearing you correctly, it was the identity shift, the seeing yourself on the other side, right, of
Yeah.
the program, and looking back in retrospect, you're thinking even 6 months, a year ago, with 3 years ago, you
Yeah.
could comparatively speak to the different times of your life because
Yeah.
there's different shifts that are happening even today. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah, you just said something the different times, and I want to pick that up and say
Yeah.
100%. I actually now, after the program, I now see that life is chapters.
Yes.
It's not one path. It's not one path, folks. It's chapters, lots of little chapters. And each chapter, you're supposed to be learning something. And then you take that to the next chapter, and then the next chapter can be completely different from the chapter before.
Yeah.
Raquel, you'll appreciate this. I want to share this because this is how I've started trying to live, although it's really hard. So I'm not a guru or anything like that. It's really hard when you're an average human and you're just waking
None
up
of us
every day,
are, Brooke. I'm glad you said that because we're
right?
all
Like
human, right?
we're all human. We're waking up every day and we're
Yeah.
just trying to do our best. But the other day I was listening to something, and it was really interesting. I think it was from the what is it, the Tao Te Ching, the how to live
Oh,
your life,
yes.
right? How to live your life well and be peaceful. And I was just, had my earbuds in, and then suddenly, like, I was doing something else, and boop, heard this really fascinating parable about this individual who, anytime something bad would happen, bad, air quotes, bad, would happen to him, he would say, someone would say to him, "Oh my God, what just happened to you is so bad." And he would say, "Maybe." And then 2 or 3 days later, the thing that appeared to be so bad actually worked in his favor. And they'd come and someone would come to him and say, "Oh my God, that thing, it worked out. That's so great." And he would say, "Maybe." And then, a couple of days later, something else would happen and his house would burn down, and someone would say, oh my God, what misfortune, how terrible. And he'd say, maybe. And then fast forward and suddenly he's got a mansion, look, oh my
Yeah.
God, you went from that. The only way you would have gotten the mansion was because the house burned down. And he's like, maybe. So like every time I heard it, I was like, what is the message? What is the message? What is the message? Like, let this sink in. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is about the chapters. You don't know what the
Yeah.
reason for the chapter was until it's like way in the rear view.
Yeah.
And then you can see
Then
the
you can
whole
see.
arc. Yeah, but you can't
Yeah.
see it when you're in the middle of it. And so you judge it and you say, it's bad. This is terrible.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I just got laid off. Oh my God, it's terrible. But
Yeah.
the arc, you have to wait for the whole arc to see what it means.
Right.
And that was huge for like, that's something because I'm more open to thinking about different ways of thinking. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I can take that. That actually helps me put in context when something seems to go bad. Oh, this is
Right.
terrible. There's actually, maybe it's for my good and I don't know why yet. I just can't see it because I
It's
don't
not
see
a
it.
rejection, it's a redirection.
Yes. 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 And it's really powerful
Yeah.
because we human beings can only see a little bit. We don't see all of it. We can't see all of it.
Amazing. That's such a. I'm so glad you shared that with me. One last little tidbit, and then this is it. We're gonna bring it home. I think I already mentioned this, but if someone was really on the fence, or
Yes.
they are like really thinking, okay, why should I do this? What would you tell them? What's the investment that they're looking at? What is one thing you would tell them?
My life completely opened up in ways I couldn't have imagined just by jumping in and trusting the process. And I would say to anybody who's on the fence, you you the best thing you can do for yourself in your life is invest in yourself and in how you show up. That's the best thing you can do, because that is from how you think about yourself and how you show up. Everything beyond that flows from that.
Yes.
So everything that's happening to me is happening because of how I show up all the time. And so if I don't show up well, if I'm not scrubbing my thoughts, if I'm not being positive, if I'm not working, and I don't mean, positive, like fake positive. I'm talking about if I'm not trying to have a mindset that's helping me get through
Yeah.
life, well, then nothing good's going to flow after that. So I had to make the investment in self. I had to walk the path of seeing how I was showing up so that I could show up in a different manner, so that my life everything could flow differently from that point. And has, it has so opened up in ways that I didn't even necessarily think could happen for someone like me, air quotes, with my background and my history and blah, 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 like all the stories we tell ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I grew up in this way and therefore I can't, fill in the blank. I was like, these are all the things I'm doing to myself, all the limitations I place on myself, etc. I need to figure out how to show up better. And so I was investing in me so that everything good could flow after that and I could show up differently.
Amazing.
Yeah. So if anyone's like on the fence, what you're basically doing is you're giving yourself you're giving your brain and your heart and your soul a really big back massage, like a massage to help you.
I love that analogy.
It's like an internal massage, like, hey, you need to get out of your own way, honey. Let's do this. Like that.
I love that.
It really works, and it is an
Yeah.
investment in self. That allows you to be a better human being in your community and be better to people and be better all around. It's an investment in self.
Amazing. Thank you for being here, Brooke. We appreciate your time. I love everything you've said. Ladies, if you want clarity of mind, peace of mind, success in your marriage, we've saved so many marriages over here. We've created, millionaires. We've opened paths for people. This is the time. There's no better day than today. Thank you, Brooke.
Of course.